say, folks, fire away at your questions there, just throughout, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Before this morning, I want to get you away for opening time. Colin, thanks for your time this morning. We're here to talk about the High Street Voucher Scheme. There's been a lot of noise in the press about this, maybe not as clear as some people in our industry would have liked it to have been. And we're hoping just to kind of clarify a lot of things and dispel a lot of things this morning. So I think it's probably easy to start with the easiest question, Colin, if you don't mind. What actually is the High Street Voucher?
Cheers, Joel. Look, guys, I'm not going to do PowerPoints and graphs and all of that. We know you're short of time, so you're going to keep this as straightforward as possible. Look, it's actually not a voucher. It's £100 preloaded card, just like your credit card or debit card type of thing. And look, it's designed to drive footfall onto the high street. 1.4 million people are eligible in Northern Ireland for this card. So that's, a lot of money if we can get it directed and we can capture our share into hospitality. Don't confuse it. You'll have heard about the tourism voucher or the holiday at home voucher that's coming from Tourism Northern Ireland. That is totally separate. That's a voucher. There'll be limited amounts there, but it's so you can spend £100 over a 2-night stay. At the minute, it looks like that tourism voucher thing will come in January. So this at the minute, high street stimulus is a better term, and it's £100 preloaded card. Cannot be spent online. It can't be spent on gambling, legal or financial services. Other than that, it can be spent. And whilst many people are very surprised, I'll tell you now, it can be spent on alcohol. Because from day one, we fought tooth and nail to make sure it could be spent on alcohol. So it's right across alcohol, accommodation and food. So right across the hospitality sector.
Yeah, I think that's about as clear as you can make it, Colin. There's a slice of the pie here for everyone, regardless of your business model within the hospitality sector. And I think that's worth re-emphasizing. Initially, I don't think alcohol was on the table for this, but through the representation that Hospitality Ulster made, it's now been included.
Absolutely. And look, it's any beverage, coffee, whatever, but look, alcohol is there because it would have excluded so many of our traditional pubs and indeed our licensed restaurants, hotels. You're going to do a whole mess about you can pay for your food, you can't pay for your alcohol and stuff. So no, look, it's most definitely included.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to leave out coffee there. God bless it. The next question, I guess, to expand on it a little bit, who actually qualifies for the card, and is there any sort of timeline on when people are going to get it?
Okay, well, look, everyone aged 18 and over that's resident in Northern Ireland is eligible for it, and indeed anyone that becomes 18 during the rollout of the card will be eligible as well for it. Now, I say eligible because you do have to apply. Registration portal will open at the minute they're saying the 12th of September, and it looks like that's on target, which is good. And then there's a process where you go online and you need things like either your driving license or your national insurance number. There's a number of questions you have to respond to. But look, there's also a telephone helpline. So anybody that doesn't have access to IT or just finds it a problem, they can dial up and someone will help them. And then the theory is the cards will start dropping through the letterboxes from about 19th, 20th of September. So portal opens on the 12th, cards start appearing, say, 19th, 20th, and there's a 5-week rollout there. And basically the cards have to be spent by the 30th of November. Now, that means somebody who get them early will have a longer spend period, but the minimum spend period is about 6 weeks over that period. So really straightforward. And I would say, look, will there be glitches in the first few days? Probably. It's like everything, everybody says 100 quid, we'll all hammer on and their website will fall over. But I think, look, they'll fix it quickly if it happens, and we're not going to go after them for that because, I'm more interested in how we get our share of this.
I've obviously, folks, been inviting your questions on any topic at all, and we'll get to a sort of designated Q&A whenever we're done with this quick briefing. But Colin, there's been a couple of questions have dropped in that's sort of relevant to this section on the High Street Voucher. Is there any clarification on whether it'll work for guided food tours? I would imagine so.
Basically, anyone that can take a card payment now can't be done online, so it's going to have to be done in person. But yes, look, it can be visitor attractions, it could be anything at all other than, say, they exclude it online and gambling and the financial legal services. Yep, not a problem at all.
And this is possibly one of the sort of discrepancies or something that may not be full clarification on. Self-catering accommodation providers using Airbnb, that's obviously an online portal. Is there any indication whether it can be used for that, or is that a restriction because of the online barrier?
It's online, therefore it can't. And I suppose the fundamentalist is back to it targeting the high street. So it is that it'll have to be a straight somebody dealing straight with you in person.
Okay, thanks for the clarification there. And just a message from Michael saying, can you post up the key dates, please? Absolutely, we'll make those clear on our comms if you're signed up to our comms list, and also on our social media and website. We'll put together a full list of the key dates for you folks, no problem at all. Just to get back to covering the actual High Street Voucher Scheme, are there any other examples? Has this been done elsewhere? I think there have been some examples of similar schemes. How have they turned out?
I mean, it's been done actually Jersey, Malta, Taiwan, and indeed New South Wales. So there's 4 very similar sort of schemes. I think Jersey is the one that is most comparable to us, you know, similarities, but there will be some fundamental differences, like, you know, their licensing laws and how they describe types of spends and stuff. But look, basically September 2020, Jersey did it. Same idea. Give a £100, they called it a spend local card, and you can spend it in shops, cafes, hospitality, and such. And interesting there, guys, and I say, I'll not bore you with all the stats, but look, we've been looking at this. I mean, 78% of all spend was on 3 categories. It was wholesale and retail. And look, see, when you say wholesale and retail, that's probably predominantly retail, but it's how government categorise these things. Supermarket, fast food, and food retail was the second one, and then hotels, restaurants, and bars. So if you take it, those 3 categories took up 78% of the spend. So that's a big focus there. And so you don't get too hung up on their categorisation. Government have all sorts of codes and things that group these together. So some of the things worth maybe looking at: average transaction value was £28.14p. We're very precise on flipping radio hospitality Ulster here today, you know. And the average card was used 3.6 times. So generally it's not somebody blowing it all in one go. They're using it in different places. I mean, peak times were the weekends, and particularly the first Saturday in Jersey. The scheme launch was a very big time for that, but it was generally Saturdays, tailed off a bit, and then come back particularly towards the end of the spend when people are going out to use up the remaining credit on their card. Because if they don't use it, it goes back to government. You know, it's not sort of there for you to use after the 30th November in Northern Ireland. I mean, if you drill in a bit more, and I say, look, don't be put off by some of the terms and the categories, because it is the way government statistics group stuff together. I mean, looking at the Jersey scheme, food and groceries took 25%, clothing and footwear about 18%, restaurants and hotels about 16%, and alcohol and tobacco about 3.4%. Now, you really got to put the restaurant, hotels, and alcohol all in together, because the way government categorise stuff, you know, it's not looking at, oh, you know, a restaurant and you spent X pounds there on alcohol and whatever. And indeed, when you get into Jersey licensing law, you know, it's they don't have the same laws as us. So what Jersey is categorising as a restaurant could be a food pub, it could be anything. So I think if you take it in the round there, it's about 20% spent on hospitality. Obviously, the job here is to maximise our share of this.
Yeah, there's again just another couple of relevant questions have come in. Good morning, Gertie. How you doing? How do you claim the money's back for your business? I think this comes back to me anyway, to the terminology used. I think the word voucher has been unhelpful and people haven't fully understood. You don't have to claim back the money's used.
No.
It's spent in person.
It's basically, as far as the retailer's concerned, or the hospitality business, whatever, it's basically it's like me turning up with my debit card. You get the money instantly. The business has to do nothing. It's all done. It's MasterCards behind this. So basically the people will rock up, they'll have a PIN number, they just use their card as if it was a debit card or credit card, and you'll see no difference there. The setup is too that somebody else can use my card for me as well. So it will be a case of there's no proof of identity or anything needed. So I could turn around and say to Joel, okay, like I'm all well, I can't get out to spend mine, could you go and get me X? And that could be done as well. Not much chance of it happening, Joel, sorry.
Yeah, no problem at all if that's required. Just on the same note then, Sinead, good morning. Do businesses have to apply to take part in the scheme?
No. Again, as long as you've got a terminal in your premises that you can actually take card payments, that's all you need to do. It is actually, Joe Public need to actually register to get their card. And look, that's something ideally you'd like them just to drop through the letterbox and off you go. But for Joe Public, there is obviously, you have to make sure they exist. And I'm not saying anyone would try to nab a few of these, but you know, by nature of government money, they have to have audit trails and stuff and be able to prove. And you've probably heard chat out there, but oh, you have to be on the electoral register to get it. That's just one of the verification processes. The electoral register, there's the DLA database, you know, there are several other, your national insurance number, all of that they can actually tie to do it. And say if you're really stuck, they'll help you on the phone. So in that sense, dead simple. Joe Public have to do any of the work that needs done, and it's not too onerous. So basically, Joe Public will register, their card will drop through the letterbox, they will come out and spend it. They have to spend it, say, in physical premises, and as far as the hospitality business is concerned, that just goes into your bank account.
Yeah, so for you as a business owner, as you say, it's really no different than somebody coming in with their credit or debit card. You don't have to do any of the preparatory work, and they'll just come in and do the spend. I think probably the main takeaway here, is that I don't know if it's been as a result of mixed messaging or just how it's been portrayed in the press, but there was uncertainty whether this could be used in our sector. You are confirming that it's, as long as it's in-person sales and not online sales, it's for food, beverage, accommodation. So the way forward for me, obviously, I think retail are going to be poised to promote and to try and get the biggest share possible of this. And I think they've maybe got the jump on us a little bit, but I think the critical thing now is maybe for people to go away and think about how they can capture their share.
Absolutely. Look, and that's really the point of this. I said I would keep it very straightforward, was look, the money's out there, guys. How does hospitality grab its share? Say Jersey were able to get about 20%. How do we get more than that? You know, and it is going to come down to individual businesses trying to look at how do they make sure Joe Public knows they can spend it with them. Because if we have people in the trade going, can you spend it with us? Other people might be thinking the same. So it is going to come down to our sector and the individual businesses in it going after that money. And how do they capture it? Particularly if you look at the situation of, look, it's peak Saturday spends when you look at Jersey. That's a busier time for us, and we are moving into what we hope will be a busier Christmas period. And look, you know, I'm still worried that we'll be under some sort of restrictions there, which maybe reduces capacity. So to me, that's one thing we have to think about then is, okay, weekend spend, how do we, if we need to or want to, divert that to midweek spend or midweek footfall? And what sort of, you know, like nobody in our industry now is in a position to give discounts and all that, and we shouldn't, you know, but it's, can we do add-up value promotions? How do we affect that customer's behaviour? One, how do we let them know they can spend it with us to start with and early? And then how do we, you know, actually get the customer's behaviour to come at the time we want, or indeed if we can't take it off them, then how do we delay that? And look, I'm no marketing expert, and I've always said, look, I couldn't run a business to save my life. I couldn't pull a pint, make a bed, or cook a boil an egg that would be at a level that somebody would pay for. So this is really us trying to say to you guys, look, we're here to help. We will get you the collateral and stuff, that the branding and stuff. If we'll make that downloadable from our website. But I take my hat off. Yous are the business people. Yous will know what best suits your business and how to do it. But like some of the things, as I've chatted to people, they've been talking about is, look, gift vouchers, maybe making it where, like, if they buy a gift voucher with a £100 card, the gift voucher is worth 110. So it can defer payment, to later on, to a different period when you're quieter, or they can give it to somebody as a Christmas present, even, and could come, or indeed, one of the friends I was talking to was saying that, if you spend your 100 card with them, they'll give you a £20 gift voucher back, which means hopefully they bring you back again. But also, actually, too, a lot of gift vouchers, remember the old Marks and Spencer thing where everything was on their own gift card, because a big chunk of it never got spent. So it reduces your cost of giving an added value scenario there. Or look, it's even in your traditional pub, is it saying, well, look, obviously responsible drinking, not to drink it all at once, but if somebody wanted to buy a £100 bar tab and that meant it was £110 of value, responsible drinking, but it's that type of thing. We've got to look at this and think, say, how do we make sure Joe Public knows that they can spend it in hospitality, and they can spend it in all aspects of hospitality? Then how do we capture them? If it's normally they're out spending at the weekend, how do we move that if you don't have the capacity to cope with them? Because there's no point in getting that money in and displacing other monies that you might have got. And I think, look, it will, it's coming as we head into the Christmas period. A lot of people have got into the habit of shopping online and not going out, so we're missing out on that casual meal, casual pint, casual coffee, stay away for a night and do a bit of shopping and stuff that we feed off in areas too. So the card will encourage people, well, look, okay, I want to buy some stuff, but I need to go down to town to spend this. So hopefully that is bringing them into our domain. And whilst it's called the High Street, look, this is spendable in your village, your rural hospitality business or whatever. It's really, High Street stimulus is a wide word for getting people back into normal expenditure rather than taking them offline, because offline went through the roof during this. But the basic will come down to, look, how do we capture spend? And I'm sure people on here have far better ideas than I've just come off with, but we'll make the branding and stuff available. I've asked for it already, and I'm sitting waiting on it. As soon as we get it, we'll push that out to you so that you can have it, whether you want to put it on your menus, if you're using physical menus, or in the window, or your social media, to try and encourage people to come your way.
Yeah, we'll make, as Colin says, we'll make all of that branding available. And as someone asked earlier, sorry, I've lost your name, we'll also issue the key dates via our columns and via online. So
again, I'll run down those dates again, Joel. So look, 12th September, the registration portal should open. That sounds very grand, for basically it means the website, and I think it'll be an iDirect again that they're to register for them. Should start dropping through the letterbox about 19th, 20th of December. 5-week rollout period, with the final spend being the end of November. So say somebody that gets it on the 19th or 20th of September obviously has a longer spend period, but that's just the way it happens. And I say, if you're 18 during that rollout period, my understanding is you will actually be eligible for the card as well if you come 18 before it.
Also bear in mind, folks, that you're not only here as business owners, but you're also eligible for your own card. So make sure that you're registered and that you get your own 100 quid to go and spend in probably your own business or somewhere in hospitality. I just want to give everybody, Colin, a chance to fire any final questions in before we leave you alone for the day. I'm going to put you on the spot, as I often do on these things. Obviously, with regard to COVID regs, we sent out the consolidated, updated guidance to the industry yesterday. And as I say, folks, if you're not on our communications channels, hit inquiries@hospitalityulster.org with an email. We'll get you signed up and make sure you're getting that information. I guess just a short briefing, Colin, a short update on where the industry is and where we're trying to go with regard to COVID regs and where we're at right now with regulations. And folks, if you have any last questions, please fire them in just now, please.
Look, we're still working. Obviously, it's get us back to normal, trading as quickly as possible. The figures in Northern Ireland, look, I think last week we were the worst in the developed world, which isn't good. Makes it harder, obviously, to get the regulations removed in that context. And there's a number. We met with the Executive Office Task Force last week, again, to go through this and push. We are making the case that right across our industry, everyone is on reduced capacity. Some worse than others, because if you look at our restaurants, coffee shops, capacity is reduced. You work your way through food pubs and such, obviously would be down on turnover, and then right through to your traditional pub, which usually only maybe gets busy 2 nights a week, and standing room is how they operate, so all seated. And then you've removed darts, pool machines, which are revenue streams. You go into our coffee shop world, again, table service, bits and pieces, that are all seated. So there are challenges right across the industry, and we've been making that case that we need to be removed urgently. I'm the eternal optimist. I believe they will come away, but we've got to keep hammering that. But also we are making the case on, along with our sister organisation UK Hospitality, about the VAT in Westminster. Obviously in September that goes up to 12.5%. I think worst case scenario, we'd like to see it or stay there at that. Ideally I'd like to see it at 5, but stay at 12.5. Now, big ask, because obviously government have blown a lot of cash. But there's that from Westminster. And also, look, our hospitality sector has not been able to, if you compare us to retail, I'm not giving retail a hard time, the regulations in retail aren't punitive. They doesn't really affect their sales. You come into ours and they do, so we haven't had the chance to build the same reserves and stuff. So we are in fighting for an extension of the rates holiday, targeted for hospitality. Now, the two of those, I'll not pretend they're big asks. Northern Ireland Assembly has a really tight budget next year. So anything there, I think, there aren't going to be any grants going. So it's really targeted there, and the same with Westminster. So those are the big focus of things I think we could get practical. And we're also lobbying like mad. You'd be aware we released a recovery plan, and what we want actually is a dedicated strategy for hospitality. We're Northern Ireland's 4th largest private sector employer. We don't only need one, we deserve one that actually puts us on a trajectory to rebuild, but also rethink our industry and revitalise and realise the value it has. If we were a big factory and in trouble, every politician of every creed will be standing at the gate with us. So we need to get that driven home, and that's where we are, pushing hard.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, but it's a worthwhile update. And folks, just finally, as I say, please give us a shout. Inquiries@hospitalityulster.org, or hit us on our Twitter, on our Facebook, however you can get a hold of us, and we'll get you added to that daily comms. Just give us your details, and we'll give you all the information that you need. Colin, just before we wrap up, one final question. It's a pretty valid one, I think. Good morning, Nikki. Can I take payment over the phone? For example, is the code sent with the card or something the card holder makes up themselves? Nikki says she has an online booking system, but is able to make bookings on their behalf. Is there a way around that?
I mean, I'm going here on what Colin thinks, but I would think I guess I can do my credit card or my debit card over the phone. Somebody, because you're doing it on the terminal as you input it. So I would think you can.
Yeah.
But I said it isn't one, I'll be honest, that has cropped up with me. But I would think you should be able to. I can't see why not, because you'll be putting in all the relevant details. It depends, I suppose, whether or not the PIN number, whether it's going to require the PIN, or you can do a cardholder not present security code type thing on it. It's one I'll try and find out. Let's say first thought is yes, but it may be a barrier to it built in.
Thank you. Yeah, nice curveball to finish today. Look, folks, there are always going to be scenarios and situations that are not in the textbook, and we will certainly do our best to find out and clarify. We will communicate to you again those key dates that Colin's mentioned a couple of times, and also all of the branding and stuff. So Nikki, look, we'll find out for sure and come back to you as soon as possible. Colin, unless you have anything else, we'll probably wrap up and let everyone get away for opening time.
No, look, I purposely want to try and keep this just to half hour to give people time, because I know you're all short staffed. We are working on all sorts of initiatives around staffing, and indeed I think I've seen Stephen McGorian appear in this. He's on our careers task force, and Stephen's very active there with us. The other bits and pieces that be aware of on the licensing side, alcohol side, we should see the first phase, I am told, around about October, of changes to licensing law. So that would be your late nights. Easter will be there, but obviously while before that rolls forward. But it'll be a length of drinking up time, late nights, those type of things should hit us about October. The other bits and pieces then probably in April.
Super. Folks, look, we're grateful for your time. Colin, thank you for your time. Appreciate the briefing. And listen, get in touch with us on socials, on our website, or just lift the phone to us. You know where we are, and we'll speak to you all very soon. So look, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.